We got high-carb vegans on the doctor's TV show. Now this is exciting and irritating all at the same time, because what I believe in as a diet is going to be heard by more people. This is rarely on TV. And on the other hand, it's another opportunity to have someone on TV with a large audience and credentials and a high authority shaking his head at what I do. I have this show recorded on the DVR, and I have not watched it yet. So you're going to get my reaction to watching it. But let me make a prediction, because I've been through this before. All of us high fruit teachers on YouTube, we live this. We've been through this many times. I've been here on YouTube teaching this for 6 years. When I first heard they were going to be on the show, first of all, I was real surprised. Why would they want to do that? But then I remember, well, they had that guy, that raw meat eating guy. I don't want to name drop that guy. But from what I've seen in the ads and on their website, it looks like they're going to be better with them. But they'll still say, we cannot recommend this. And they will have a whole bunch of questions, which shows they don't understand this diet, which, of course, they probably hadn't heard of it. People don't look into this unless they're going to do it. That's the thing. Let's get into it.
Those last words. So, I've heard of this. I didn't know it was a real phenomenon. But let me ask y'all this. How many bananas do you eat in a day? Maybe one?
One at the most.
Or
10.
Bananas.
Unless you're a gorilla.
2 is a splurge.
We are.
A new internet fad diet says eat 30 a day.
Get ready to tip the scales, the produce scales. There's a crazy new diet making the rounds, the banana diet. Just like it sounds, the banana diet involves eating bunches and bunches of bananas. Try 30 in a single day. A trip to Banana Island, as dieters call it, is said to produce real results. Are you ready to go bananas for bananas, or is this too much of a good thing?
Wow. Look at that cute little
This is bananas. But we have two
We've
folks
heard this before.
who have
He wasn't being original. We've heard that one many times. And there's one person early who has just taken that and decided to act sarcastic all the time with it.
bananas. But we have two folks with us, Angie and Ryan, who have visited Banana Island, and clearly you love bananas. I've heard that you are known where you live to be the biggest consumer, the biggest buyer of bananas. How many pounds a week?
About 80 to 100 pounds of bananas a week.
Wow, a lot of
This is
bananas.
the crazy banana guy.
Yeah,
He's not
they don't know me at the market when I come in. They get the big boxes as far as twice a week.
See what she did there. Let's say what everyone else is saying, to show that we get it, that people don't get it. Of course they're not going to get this, because it's so different from how people eat, and even how we're taught to eat by our government. And as everybody knows, you should always trust the government to tell you what to do, what's right.
Because I was reading more about it.
See, he said he's up for the show.
They know me at the market when I come in. They get the big boxes as far as twice a week.
So tell us about this fad, though, because I was reading more about it. I actually thought it was just a joke when people were saying, oh, yeah, there's a diet out there where people just eat bananas. But are people literally just eating bananas and nothing else?
No.
Yeah, it's just for a short period of time. It's like a cleanse of sorts. They want to just like have easy digestion for a week, a month, or what have you, and then they go on that banana island. But yeah, we don't do that. Even though we eat a lot of bananas, we eat all sorts of other foods too. But like in the morning, I'll have a smoothie, easy dozen bananas in there.
A dozen?
A dozen.
Oh, easy.
I mean, you both look fit, but a dozen?
Now, for those of you just joining us in progress here on YouTube and have not heard of the diet or don't know anything about it, that's common. This is what hundreds, I don't know the numbers, how many people are doing this diet. 10 banana smoothie. This is how a lot of people eat. Some people would think that's impossible, but only because you've never done it. There's plenty of people doing that.
I mean, you both look fit.
All right. They are. So am I. I should say, I know these two people, and I've known them for a while, and they're doing a pretty good job. They're just like they are at home on camera. I couldn't do this, I have to say. I have a fear of public speaking. It took me a while to get over talking to a camera. The only reason I got into making videos was because I just had to speak this. I had to show people the bigger truth of how we were meant to eat. Because right now the government's saying eat 5 pieces of fruit. They moved that up to 8 recently. And you see what's happening is they're getting closer. They're going into the direction of where it should be. But that isn't working because people aren't doing it. If people could see us eating 15 to 25 pieces of fruit a day, I've been eating 15 pieces a day for 20 years. See, me putting that out there, it gets people more comfortable with it. And so maybe they'll eat 5. Maybe they'll eat 8. Right off, we've started with a misconception that just like when other media sources talk about the diet, they make it sound even more extreme than it is. Because that's what gets attention. And that's just how the media has to get attention. And that doctor there said that he had heard of it, but what he'd heard of was the extreme part, the mono-dieting banana island, which you should only do for a short period of time. He heard that because that's what gets out there in the media to get attention. He has not heard of the way of eating high fruit. That's the key. The fruit should be high. Fat should be low.
You're starting with 1,200
Yes.
calories in that smoothie.
Smashing it
That's
in.
a lot.
Plus,
Yeah, and I don't drink any coffee or anything like that. I get all my energy from my nutrition, from my diet.
So are you very active?
I would say I run maybe 20 miles a week.
Bowels are pretty active.
No bananas.
bananas a week.
Here's an interesting thing, though, just to do a little bit of math. Nutritionally, one banana has about 450 milligrams of major electrolyte potassium in it.
Yeah, see, I just showed you that I've heard it before. I've seen all the reactions to this. The thing with potassium, I'm cutting her off, but I already know what she's gonna say. Potassium overdose. Bananas are simply known for having a lot of potassium. They don't have a huge amount compared with other foods. Like the other foods we're supposed to be eating, melons have more potassium per calorie. You cannot get an overdose of a mineral from a natural food. People who would criticize this diet, why don't they go after people who are overdosing on fat? And there's plenty of people out there to nag to. The average person's overdosing on protein, caffeine. We're not doing any of those things. We're just eating naturally.
The recommended amount of potassium that we should get, which is in quotations, because we don't really know how much we should get, but it's set at about 4,700 milligrams. So doing the math, that's 10 bananas a day. Now, if you have healthy kidneys, you shouldn't have a problem with your potassium. However, high potassium in your blood can cause everything from nausea and vomiting to muscle weakness to slow heart rate to cardiac standstill. So this isn't, like anything.
Well, it's why we always preach and promote. You don't
about 3 times the amount that you're supposed to of potassium.
Tell that to the monkeys.
We've all seen people come into the hospital with dangerously high potassium levels. The one thing, so the caveat here is this.
Sounds pretty bad. Dangerously high potassium. Okay. So, the hospitals are full of people who are eating 40 bananas a day? No, they're not. We don't go to hospitals.
While we always preach as doctors, there should never be a diet that focuses on one particular food. Having said that, bananas are my favorite fruit.
Yeah.
I love bananas. I wish I thought it was healthy to eat 10, 20 of them a day because I love them. But you do realize that whenever you cut out all the other things and you focus on one fruit or one food item, it is. It's like taking a big potassium pill every day.
I have blood tests from the past 3 years, perfect potassium levels.
Good. As long as you're
Right?
checking.
Yeah. And potassium, I've checked up on how much potassium you need to have an overdose. You need to have roughly 300 bananas in 30 seconds. Virtually impossible.
There's the fact.
If everything else is okay.
So the takeaway here, as doctors,
this, like I said, I would get irritated. I predicted correctly because it happens every time. They were doing fine before, but they're simply wrong about this, and it's only because they haven't done the studying. They've done the studying. I've done the studying. You saw my reaction. As soon as he started saying something that wasn't true. See, I know it's not true because I've done the studying. As doctors, they don't study nutrition. Some people say that people like me teaching a diet on YouTube, we should have a disclosure. That's fair enough. But I think doctors should have to have a disclosure when they start talking about nutrition. I actually think they should not talk about nutrition.
we do not.
And again, he's going to the extreme. We're not eating one food. We're not even eating just one food group. He mentioned a lot of vegetables. And what he hasn't mentioned, because it would take hours to cover everything, is that he also eats grains and potatoes, maybe some seeds. That would be 4 food groups. That's almost everything. So it's not limited. It's only limited to the foods that we're meant to eat. The problem they had with potassium, that's a problem when you have a sick person whose body's not working right. That's unfair. You don't judge a diet by its reaction with a person who's sick because they've been eating unnaturally. It's unfair. It's not right.
We don't live on Banana Island. We actually do all of our shopping at our local farmers market. We buy like $75 worth of produce Yeah, it's 75 to 100 every single weekend. So the bananas are just kind of like the staple that gets them, you know, through the day.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we have tons of greens and peaches and strawberries, and potatoes.
And that's why you two look so healthy.
I'll be over for breakfast tomorrow.
You're welcome. And that sounds absolutely fabulous. But again, any diet that is all about one particular food is a diet that can potentially be dangerous.
Can be potentially dangerous. The first problem with that statement is that it's a good general rule. It's true. But it shows that he's making that general rule out there because he cannot really say whether their diet is healthy or not, because he's not a nutritionist. We are. And we're saying, we've made it our entire lives to say this. If my memory serves me correctly, this is the guy who is okay with a vegetarian diet, maybe vegan. I've been a vegan for 20 years. It's been going really well. But it goes to show you what I know is that even vegans are going to have a bizarre reaction to this diet because they're not familiar with the concept. Well, we're getting you familiar with it. We want to get the world familiar with this because the human race has moved away from this natural diet over the last many thousands of years. So he'd love it if the diet was healthy. That was kind of sad to hear that because most people never get that far by saying the diet sounds good. Sounds like something they want to do. Most people just would not want to eat this way. This is why our community of high fruit vegans, we've lightened up. We're now eating the potatoes and rice that Angie mentioned. Number one, because the diet was kind of too strict for us too. Because of lack of variety of fruit. He had not heard of this lifestyle until Angie and Ryan pointed it out, what the lifestyle actually is, right on the show. So he just heard about it. So and it takes time to get used to these concepts and to understand that the diet is healthy. So he should just give it time. And if he really believed, well, if he's really being honest that he would like this diet to be healthy, then he would look into it, as I did, as Ryan did, Angie did, Christina, Dan, Chris, Doug Graham, the author of the book 80-10-10. That's how this all started, this latest fad. But will he look into it? You can probably guess that he won't. In my experience, people don't look into this diet unless they're having health problems. So on a good note, they were pretty fair in letting the guests talk. On a negative note, like I said, I was surprised they would have them on the show. But I noticed they stayed in the audience. Now that makes more sense. They're not legit enough to actually get onto the stage on national TV. They didn't really get a chance to make their case about just how good this diet is. It's extremely good. That's why we're making hundreds of videos. It puts you in perfect health because it's the perfect diet for our... So my message to the whole world would be, if you don't want to end up with the same problems that most people have on the doctors every day, look into a high fruit, low fat diet and get out of the matrix.